And I'm your host, John Dawson. We're going to do a deconstruction video. How's that looking over there? Good to go? Let's see what this looks like. Okay. This is a all-in-one disposable from AVITAS. That's a brand here in Washington State. Um, I'm not familiar with this disposable or the internal components, but we are going to take it apart. And the first thing I want to do, man, there's a lot of oil in here. Let me get a Q-tip, take some of this shit out of here. And the first thing we're going to do is try to get as much of this oil out as cleanly as possible. That was a good first scoop, I'll tell you that much. Shout out to the Canna Bird Q-tips. And this is a live resin pod, 1 gram live resin pod. I picked this up here at one of the local dispensaries. Shout out to Lucky Leaf. This retailed right around, what was it, $32 out of the door. And so as I take a look into here, I can already see that this pod wants you to think that A, it has no cart components, it's wickless, it has no down stem, and that it has what's known as an HCB, or horizontal ceramic bucket. And as I take a look down in here, I would say that just like a jeweler looking at diamonds, I'd be thinking this is suspect as far as the HCB is concerned, or the horizontal ceramic bucket, the diode down there, the heating element, if you will. I'm not seeing what's known as a trough or a bucket, if you will. I'm seeing something that looks like a ceramic heating element, but as we pull this apart, we'll kind of get to the bottom of what's really in here. All right. So I don't know how much of a struggle it's going to be to take this thing apart, but we will try to dissect it as elegantly as possible. Sometimes these devices come apart very easily. Sometimes it's a bit of a struggle. This one, I think, is going to give us the problems. You want to problem me? No problem. So what you're seeing here, and if you're listening, I just pulled out the Atomizer. And as you can see, the way that, and you can already tell there's some cotton wicking in here, and there's a lot of it. What we're starting to see from manufacturers in the space and brands who buy this type of hardware is that they want to give the user the illusion of there being no cotton wicking, of there being no or there being an HCB, what's known as a horizontal ceramic bucket. And horizontal ceramic buckets are the new technology that you're starting to see emerge in the disposable vaporizer space for cannabis extracts. It's hardware that I'm super familiar with. Internal components I helped bring to market in 2018. It was very, very hard to get traction for those style devices. And as the market became more educated, the consumer becomes more educated, the demand for new types of disposables, we're talking about the $1 to $3 range wholesale price point of these devices, right? That get filled with oil and then sold in the store for anywhere from $30 to $100 a half gram, just depending on what it's filled with. Rosin, BHO, distillate, all those different consumables are going to dictate a different price point. And the funny thing is all of those consumables usually go in the same style of device, right? So no matter what the quality of the oil is, the brands usually have a budget. Most businesses do. And that's going to dictate what hardware that they're purchasing and filling and selling to the market. And so in my due diligence, I'm also a hardware service provider, but I'm really into the gear. And I'm into the statements and the marketing that get attached to the gear as people start to introduce this gear to the industry. They tend to tout that they have the best. We all do it, right? We get proud of what we create or what um, we sell. And so the natural salesman in us and the natural grandstander wants to tell everyone it's the best. Buy my shit. In that, I like to dive a little deeper and not just be a believer or a drinker of the water, so to speak. I like to take things apart. And in my travels and my time in this vaporizer space, I have noticed that not a lot of people take apart the vaporizers that they consume oil out of. Maybe it's because they don't give a fuck. Maybe it's because they plan on reusing that device because they have a budget and they don't want to ruin the shit. Maybe people just don't want to know. It's better to be deaf, dumb, and blind. Just smoke the shit, get high, be happy. Who gives a fuck if the internal components may be toxic or not? So there's a lot to digest in all of that statement, right? You can rewind this and play that back. But the moral of the story is that what I'm trying to do is just expose the components, educate people on what they are, what they're made out of, and kind of when those components really originated on the market and in the space, so people can say and tell, as I tell people, they can really digest. Hey, that's an old component. People are like, well, how the fuck? Why would you say that? Or how the fuck do you know, Mr. Mouth? Well, because I've seen these components in play in this space since 2013-14. Cotton wicking, alloy components, down stems, so on and so forth. And it's 2023 and we're not seeing a lot of change in the space. We're just not seeing it. I don't know if it's because people don't have the budget to progress, or maybe again they're not educated, or again maybe they just don't give a fuck. But I do. And so in my structure as a company, I've worked in the ability to access all of this hardware from the source, from Chinese manufacturers, take it in, look at it, evaluate it, take it apart, and really give you a quick synopsis. Sometimes it's quick, sometimes it's long-winded, of what the hardware is made out of, who it's made by, and what it's made for. And you have to remember, cotton wicking and alloy components were first brought to market for the e-cigarette industry, right? The e-cigarette industry utilizes those components to this day. There's not been a lot of change, and there's not a lot of HCB style components in the e-cigarette industry currently. I own a smoke shop. We sell tons of e-cigarette products. They're all cotton wicking, silica wicking, foam wicking based hardware, right? And if I take apart an e-cigarette disposable, which we will do, I will scare you to show you loose wires stuffed into foam wicking with crazy liquid inside of it, and that's what people fucking suck on all day long and spend $40 a pop on. Yeah, super potent nicotine based e-cigarette devices. So all cannabis disposables based disposables are miniaturized versions of that same hardware. Now there's some more scrupulous manufacturers and service providers than others. There's people that actually design for the consumable product, but say 9 times out of 10, the hardware that the average consumer goes to the dispensary and buys for their vaporizer consumptions needs is really cheaply made, really old style devices. And it seems like the consumer's locked out of the good shit unless you want to spend more money. So it's like, all right, are we saying poor people or people with small budgets can only consume dog shit, and then you have to be rich to get the good shit? I mean, that's the way it is with everything else, right? Food, clothes, cars, houses, you name it. And that's fucked up. The the cannabis space is supposed to be so compassionate. It's supposed to be for the people, right? You can quickly judge if a brand is for the people kind of by the hardware that they utilize, in my opinion. If they give a fuck, then they do better. If they don't, they just continue to utilize the same old bullshit and spin you some marketing and tell you it's the fire, it's the best, it's the bomb, and then get mad if you take it apart. Well, we don't get mad if you take it apart, John. We just don't like how you took it apart. Well, fuck you. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to take the shit apart and tell people what's inside of it. And if you don't like it, I don't know what to fucking tell you. You bought it. You're the one that filled it up, put your brand on it, and sold it to somebody. You don't want no one to know what's inside of it. It says a lot about what you're doing, and maybe you should change things, because you can change things as a brand owner. Hopefully some brand owners see this and they try to switch it up. So back to this AVITAS pod. Excuse my gospel. Camera one. Let's take a gander. So I first seen this same style of setup where if you looked inside of this atomizer before I tore it apart, you would look down in there and you would think that you saw an HCB, or horizontal ceramic bucket. It looks just like it, and you can tell by the way that this fucking cotton wicking has been folded up. It's made to look like there is an HCB in here. But if there was an HCB, folks, you wouldn't need, 4 inches of fucking cotton wicking, right? And so, goddamn. This is what's inside of these devices that they sell you for $30. And they'll fight and argue with me, tell me I'm a fucking piece of shit, I'm a hater, I'm all these things, because this is what I want to expose people to. This is what I want to show people that they're spending their money on. And it's, maybe you don't give a fuck, but I'll tell you this. If you're an avid consumer and you dab and you take conventional dabs out of a conventional rig with a fucking banger, you maybe, unless I'm crazy here, stop me if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments here. But when's the last time you took a little piece of a Q-tip and some fucking what amounts to tinfoil, threw it in the banger with your fucking $80 a gram hash rosin, heated it up with the fucking torch, got it fucking roiling and boiling, threw a carb cap on it, and inhaled that shit? If someone offered that to you, unless you're fucking smoking fentanyl, you would say, get the fuck out of here. I ain't smoking that. What the fuck is wrong with you? But if someone offers you a pod or a cart at the damn dispensary or the show, and you're just trying to get a quick little hit, you don't even give a fuck. All your morals kind of go out the window, right? I'm not smoking that. I eat beef from Trader Joe's. Like, okay, Mr. Organic Granola, but you're smoking fucking oil through cotton wicking. All the heady fucking brand owners across the land, I hope you see this shit. Maybe you don't give a fuck. Once again, John, we don't give a fuck. People don't know shit. They're not heady consumers. It's only 1% of the market. Fuck those people. They get what they get. And that is the mantra and the mind state of a lot of these companies. I'm not their favorite person, and that's okay. But that's the fucking facts. Camera one will show you that this was hidden. This was folded up to look like an HCB. Okay, and if you look down inside of there, that's all you saw. B, if this is so heady and fire, then why isn't it on the packaging? Why don't they use this as a marketing tool to sell the shit? Huh? Okay, no big deal, John. No big deal about this creepy, fucked up piece of ceramic and, I don't know, wire. Huh? I got the packaging. Yeah, it's all ceramic. So here's the thing. It's not all ceramic, because all ceramic wouldn't have this fucking 3 inches of cotton wicking in here, folded up to look like an HCB. Okay, this is wrapped around a piece of ceramic, but you see the ceramic has been crushed, and I didn't apply any pressure to it. That's the way it unfolded. Right? So maybe it breaks from usage or whatever. But this wicking material has to be saturated with oil, and then it's wound up usually around a vertical heating element that's standing upright. But they don't want you to see that, so they lay it on its side and make it look like a horizontal ceramic bucket, but it's literally the internal component of a regular cartridge laid on its side, hidden and structured to trick you. So they're not counting on you taking this apart. They're counting on you sucking it down and throwing it away. And we'll tag AVITAS in this and send them a copy of it. And hopefully they just didn't know. And now they do, so they'll do better. They ain't got to use my shit, but if they care, they wouldn't be using this. This is terrible. And we dry fired, or not dry fired, but we used this before we put it on the show. And it tastes like asshole. Can I get an amen? Amen. Thank you. And so the oil didn't taste good, but maybe it wasn't just the oil. Maybe it was the fact that the oil went through this whole process of going through shitty cotton wicking, or some type of wicking, into a shitty heating element that's probably too hot. I mean, let's be real here. I don't know how many people are familiar with vaporizer terminology, structure and engineering, resistance, voltage settings, and the algorithm that needs to be put together to make it all function correctly. Every type of consumable, and we'll break it into three main categories, right? We'll do disti, BHO, and solventless, right? Those three categories all have three and maybe sometimes more different heating profiles that are affiliated with said style of concentrate. So distillate wants to be consumed at a certain temperature. BHO, depending on what kind of BHO, whether it's diamonds in sauce or just the HTSFE, or maybe it's a liquid version of shatter, whatever have you, all of those might want a different temperature, right? Some like it hot, some don't taste so good when they're consumed hot, some need that medium or low temp. And then we have the solventless spectrum, which is usually hash rosin, phase change, or decarb down into a liquid, and that needs the lowest temperature settings. And so if you just ask a Chinese manufacturer, hey, give me some low temp something or others, they're usually going to send you something out that has the resistance of right around 1.9 ohms. Depending on what hardware you're using, 1.9 ohms, and really any vaporizer hardware, is incredibly hot. That is a resistance setting that is great for distillate. But more times than not, the average cartridge, 510 style cart, comes off the line in Shenzhen with a resistance setting of 1.2 to 1.5 ohms. All right. Now, unless you're using distillate, that's going to burn the cotton and or any fucking formulation you put inside of there. And you'll have people try to argue with me and you if you go back and say, hey, man, I heard cotton wicking shitty. About cotton wicking, resistance settings, voltage settings, so on and so forth. I mean, back in the day, you could get a cart and be like, I want a 1.9 volt battery, bruh. You know why? Because the resistance setting on the cartridge is set so low that any voltage setting over 1.9 volts burns the fucking cotton wicking or the oil that you put in it. Now, 1.9 volts on a fucking adjustable style voltage battery, a stick battery, is so fucking low, it's normally never even seen in the market unless it's a custom made battery. Usually, you'll see that 2 to 4 volt range, and with a standardized style cotton wicking based cartridge paired at 1.7 ohms with fucking 2 to 4 volts, it's going to burn hot. It burns hot. That's why rosin carts suck, because it burns hot. It's not made for that. You know, the average cartridge, all ceramic cart, the fucking metal and glass cart, the all glass cart with the hidden cotton wicking in the bottom, all of those style devices stem from the e-cigarette industry. They're miniaturized e-cigarette devices. They're not like custom made around hash rosin formulation. What Chinese manufacturer in Shenzhen has a fucking liter or a pound of hash rosin sitting on their desk that they get to go to their lab every day and phase change and fucking formulate for their hardware? You know, they build engines, but they don't have the fuel to turn them on. So what do? They turn to domestic partners like myself, and they say, hey, John, we got this hardware, man. You got all the oil, right? We're going to send you samples. And then you pray to God that the person who's receiving the hardware knows what the fuck they're doing with the software, so to speak. You see how this becomes a quick, big quagmire? Now, usually it's one or two people making decisions on what gets manufactured and made and sent to people to fill. You fuck up one detail or any of that structure along the way, put a person in that doesn't know what the fuck they're doing or talking about, and usually the algorithm gets fucked. The brand takes a hit at market because the hardware is shitty. I mean, we've had trouble with our hardware in the past. It isn't just this easy, clean, free, and clear road. It takes so much fucking work and diligence to make sure that the hardware is paired perfectly with the software, and that the hardware is actually worth the fuck. Okay? So, when we start running into hardware like this, where it's like the secret, they're trying to hide the shit from you. It says on the packaging, all ceramic. When you bust it open, there's hidden cotton wicking. Either the manufacturer lied to the person who bought this and told them a story, and the people who bought this didn't do their due diligence and take it apart. They just said, hey, we trust that manufacturer. They started filling them. Then I got my greasy little mitts on it, and I'm the first person on earth to take it apart. I don't believe that. Maybe I am. So maybe this helps them. Or maybe they know, and when they see this, they're going to try to block me and talk shit or whatever their thing is. Hopefully not. The point of this is to educate, not to hate. You know what I'm saying? And I know what I look like, bald headed, neck tattooed, little cocky asshole sometimes. It comes off dickish. I get it. But if I was wrong, I'd probably shut the fuck up and still be trying to learn and educate myself. But I've done this for a decade. And I've been taking things apart for the last 5 or 6 years, and I've been seeing the same fucking components ever since. The biggest brands in California that make vaporizers all use vaporizer hardware for the most part that has cotton wicking in it. I take their shit apart all the time. It sucks. And they know it sucks. I tell them it sucks. I tag them in the posts. I used to go to every show and convention. It gets old. You know, motherfuckers, they claim they're the most progressive, but they don't show you that they're the most progressive. And I'm about progression in the space. So, here we are. All right, we're still 5 people deep. Sorry, the camera shuts off about 29 minutes in. It's something that happens with Canon cameras. But we're still here. Still at camera 1 and 2, right? All right. So we've popped the top, so to speak. We pulled the atomizer off of this. We've exposed the cotton wicking. Inside of here, you would just see a battery. Doesn't look like there's a tray in here. Usually a battery sits in a little plastic tray, and the tray slides into this body. And yeah, this is what you suck your oil through. So your oil goes through the cotton wicking. When they get the hardware and it's empty, they fill the hardware up. The oil saturates into the cotton wicking. That cotton wicking is wrapped around a heating element, and every time you suck, the heating element fires up, and the cotton wicking the oil that's saturating to the cotton wicking off gases. So, and you can see here around the edge that some charring and burning has already started to take place, right? And you're tasting that. You're inhaling that. Where it starts to fire and burn a little darker. Right there on the edges. So again, man, if you're buying hardware and you got a couple extra bucks, maybe buy 2 of them motherfuckers and take one apart before you smoke the other one. Just to be like, all right, this shit's fugazi. This is fucking some fuckery. But that's it. So real quick, deconstruction video. Got all my hardware out, my big boy tools. We still have some kinks to work out on the live. I still see the white box on the screen and the time and all that shit. We'll figure it out. Don't trip. But I hope this helped. I hope you can share this with your friends. I hope you tell your friends to join and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can see more content like this. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you giving me your time. I'm John Dawson, the host of the podcast, CEO and founder of Kung Fu Vapes, and we'll see you on the next live.